Good morning, everybody. This is Mwansa Palangwa Gold, your host of Speak Your Truth. Welcome back to Speak Your Truth 2.0. It's been a while there. I've missed you guys. I am so happy to be here in this time, in these present days that we live in. Today, it's a beautiful day. We are kicking off this series of Speak Your Truth 2.0 with the courage to start again. I believe I did, those of you who saw a video I did earlier on this week, we talked about that. And we're going to carry on this series for a while until we exhausted and we know that our people, our viewers have been able to listen to. Today, joining me on this first day of this session is the one and only Phoebe Maina. You guys, you have been able to see her, you've heard her. She's a powerhouse, and I just want to welcome her. It's a subject that is very, 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 very close to our hearts, both me and Phoebe. So I welcome Phoebe to the show. And I'm just going to be waiting to see. I know she was having a little bit of problems there. She's in China right now. And we're going to see how that is going to go. She says maybe it's just because it's late in China. But meanwhile, while we're waiting for Phoebe to come on, I'm going to just, since I know something on the courage to start over. All right, there is my Phoebe. Hey, Phoebe. Welcome to the show. I know you're having some time. How's China there? Maybe it's because it's late in the night, like you said.
I honestly have no idea what is going on. It's like the network today is just all over the place. I'm in, I'm out, it's cutting in and out, and I have no idea what's going on. This is so weird, but we keep showing up, we keep pushing through. I think that's the most important thing because, life happens. You gotta keep rolling with the punches, keep rolling with the punches. So, yeah. Thank you for having me. I completely missed the intro, but hey guys, it's really nice to see you all.
Well, the intro is just Phoebe being Phoebe. Phoebe is amazing. Phoebe, I was talking about how you and me know something about the courage to start again, and there is no better time as now to talk about this and just to share with a lot of people from the point of speaking our truths, what we have been. And like I said, girl, this is gonna be your stage. I'm gonna be listening, and I'm gonna not let anybody wait for a long time. I'll come in when I need to come in. As you know, we're talking about the courage to start over. Queen, over to you.
Wow. It's funny because I I feel like you should stay right there because this is going to be a dialogue, not just a monologue. And I feel
Mhm.
like courage is a friend of mine describes it in a very interesting way, whereby courage is often on a spectrum, whereby some days you're more courageous and audacious than other days, and some days you're at a solid 2.5, and some days you're riding on -5, and that's okay too. I think what I would want our listeners to get out of this conversation today is that courage is sometimes you have more courage than other days, and it's also the choice to choose to be courageous, and that means that you just hold on for 5 more minutes, and sometimes you hold on for 10 more minutes, and sometimes you hold on for one more day or one more month, and that's all courage really is, that you show up and you show out. And some days the most courageous thing you could do is let yourself rest. Some days the most courageous thing you could do is just take a deep breath. That some days the most courageous thing you could do is call a friend and say, "Hey, I need someone to talk to right now. I'm not doing so well." So you see, when you talk about courage, there is the courage where you stand up and you stand out and you do audacious things. There's also the courage where it's a bit gentle. It's a bit gentle, and you show up. You're scared, with your knees knocking, your teeth chattering. Some days you're crying so loud you can't hear your own voice. Some days you're doubting, and there are times that you literally have to hold on to fear, and the other side you hold on to the passion, you hold on to the faith, you hold on to the courage, and you say, I'm going to let these two parts peacefully coexist, and then I'm going to keep leaping and leaping and leaping. And so I love this conversation that we get to have. I love that we get to talk about courage today, because it's been my journey, my story for the longest time. It's about, you do this amazing thing, and one day you look up and you're down again and you keep going, and it's all about pressing reset. And every single time you get to 999, you get to press reset again and again and
Yeah,
again,
and again,
because
and
you
again.
yes, because I and you and everyone on the call today, we all deserve to give ourselves 1,000 chances. And every time we get to 999, we press reset. So thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure, Phoebe. Actually, I want to ask, and like you say, it's a dialogue and not a monologue. So let me go and ask. It's the courage to start over, and like you and me, I think we know this very much. When you've been on the mountaintop, right, and
Yeah.
then you find, and then you crumble to the very dark pit, the pits of depression, those
Mm,
night days that you don't want to get out of bed. For instance, I'll start the story you once shared. I think last time you on speak the when the courage to start over when your friend has passed away, when you've lost love, the courage to start over when you have been fired from this job that was your ego, that was everything. Or, the courage to start over just to love again. Or when you've been really hate by the people that you really trust. And then you adjust, especially for us ladies, where you find yourself, where you are just like Ren Brown said, you were just acting up, you are just performing. But you are left so exhausted, you just keep saying yes to please, but inside you're hating so much. You are in such a deep turmoil. You don't even know how to climb, you don't even want to open your curtains because it's hate so much. Even talking drains you totally, and you seem like tomorrow is never gonna come, because a lot of people are in those situations. And then when you doubt your everything, you doubt, like, and like, especially like, oh, I'm known for this, and then inside you're there in your bedroom, you're like, who are you lying to? Look at you. Sometimes you're so exhausted, you can't even brushing your teeth is exhausting. That, how do you come out of there? Where do you start before you can even have that courage to run a marathon, or later on just a mile? Where do you start? Where do you start from? I mean, from the ashes, like you're a phoenix. Everything has been bent to the ground. Where do you have the courage to start?
You know what? I think before, since we're all here and we want to get to know each other better with our audience and all that, I think I would like to give a bit more texture to the
Mm-hmm.
conversation, a bit more context. And for me, what most people know about me is that I'm a self love speaker, a coach, and a creative. And I'm really blown away that I get to say that and that I get to own that and that I get to show up as I am and really be proud of how far I've come. I'm blown away that on a weekly basis I get to reach tens of thousands of people on social media, creating content on joy, gratitude, and more than anything, self love. But what I'm most proud of, what brings me the most amount of joy, is every time I walk by a mirror and I see someone I like, someone I love, and more than anything, someone I admire, damn it. And then turning around to inspire, empower, and champion women to rise higher in self love. I'm so blown away and I'm so humbled, but it, because it wasn't always this way. You see, I'll never forget that day, that year, 5 years ago, I think, 20th of February 2020. Baby, what do you mean that our lives would be better had we not met? Oh, what are you trying to say? What am I gonna do without you? I don't know how to do life without you. I can't do this on my own. Please don't leave. And with every step he took, the love of my life, he ripped a tear in my heart and my soul. Seeing my eyes were welling up with tears, I could feel my heart breaking piece by piece by piece. And all of a sudden, I was flooded with a load of 1,000 questions. What am I gonna do? Who am I? I need him. I need him. I need his validation. I need him to be here in my life for his celebration. I can't do life on my own. I don't know how to do this.
Mm.
And for 5 months, 5 months, I sat by the phone hoping and waiting for someone to come and save me. You see, I cried myself to sleep each and every night, and I drank my pain away every single day for 5 months. So you see, when you talk about rock bottom, I know what rock bottom feels like because I've come there one too many times. When you talk about rock bottom, I get it. I get it so much because one too many times, rock bottom has been my friend. Ever gotten to the bottom where you literally feel like I cannot go any lower than this, where getting out of bed is really difficult in the morning, where you look at your life and you don't recognize the person in the mirror. You see someone who looks like you, but damn it, the person who's right there is a shell of who you used to
You
be.
used to be.
And you do not exactly, and you do
Mm-hmm.
not recognize them. So you see, when you talk about the courage to start again, for me, it was a heartbreak. And it took 5 months, 5 months of just being there on the floor. See, one night I came across a video that changed the trajectory of my life that spoke about mirror work,
Mm.
self celebration, self forgiveness, spending time with yourself. You mean I get to do that? You mean I get to show up for me? I'm worthy of showing up for myself? You see, with a desire to feel something other than pain and regret and blame and shame and heartbreak, I was willing to do absolutely anything. So, with my knees knocking, my teeth chattering, and my heart beating out of my chest, I showed up in the mirror and I looked in my eyes. Phoebe, I see you. See, some days I was crying so loud I could barely hear my own voice, but I was willing, day 12, to show up again and say, hey, Phoebe, I don't know who you are, but I am willing to discover who you are
Mm.
again. See, day 27, I was still willing to show up and say, hey, girl, I'm here and I forgive you for looking outside of yourself for validation and celebration. I'm here for you. and I choose to be here for you. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. And day 35, I was willing to show up and say, Phoebe, I celebrate you for showing up every day for 35 days and every single time, 47 days, 59 days, day 75. I was willing to show up.
Girl,
I
that
was
sounds
just
like a alcoholic anonymous. I love that.
exactly, but I was willing to
Exactly.
show up for me. I was willing to do absolutely anything to save my own heart, to save my own soul, to save my own self. Because I waited for a damn long time for someone to save me. You
But you know
see,
what, Phoebe? Sorry to
mm,
cut you.
mm,
I
mm.
I'm just I'm just having a thought. Like you say, it's a dialogue. Um, I think everybody who's watching now and will be watching us later and later on, we all know something about a heartbreak. Maybe from a divorce, from that just a friend that just betrayed you so much without even realizing that your life was actually it was so entangled, it was one fabric. There's no way you can just stand by yourself like, oh, let them go without ripping yourself so hard, right? You are just so ripped, and that before you can even go, like, from my personal experience, go to look in the mirror, you are so face offended. Why offended? By the very fact that you gave this person so much of your time, or these people, you trusted them, right? You opened them, you sacrificed so much. So before you can even go and deal in the mirror in the morning that you're loving yourself after the 35th day, there's that time where you just in bed and crying, and you so offended because it's just that spirit of offense is so heavy, you can't even get out of bed. I mean, you are fired from this prestigious job, and you can't even talk about it because there's so much shame in there, and there's a lot of shame in rejection as well. So you, even before you get out of that, and then you are just like, you are so offended. Because the reason why I say that, one of my very good friend, I'm sure she's listening in, she once came, we pray with her. It's a group of ladies that we pray with, and we're talking, we're ever so happy, and she comes and just say, you know what, guys, we need to deal with the spirit of offense. Until we deal with that offense, because we offend each other so much, and we're offended so much by other things, even self love is hard. Even before you can even get out of bed to go and look in and say, you know what, I love you, Monza, I love you, Phoebe. You have first to go to make a decision, just to say, to have that little courage in that blanket, or to just, in that glass of wine, to say, can you forgive? The courage to forgive, the courage to have that spirit of offense just taken away before you can eat. Because, as no matter how much, from what I've experienced, I'll do self-love of what, but if I'm still offended, or I can't, this, I'm holding on to this unforgiveness, I feel like even just that self love is a fraud. What has been your experience with that?
No, I completely understand where you're coming from, and I completely get that. And I feel like so many people on here can resonate with that because at the end of the day, you're human. You know, you could wear your super Shiro necklace and your Wonder Woman cuffs and you could show up every day, but it's absolutely normal to feel the hurt and the betrayal. But more than that, what we often do is return the blaming word and we say, well, they left me because I'm not good enough. They
Mhm.
fired me because I'm not good enough. They did this because clearly I'm not enough. And so something happens, but then we make it mean that we are less than. We make it mean that we are unworthy. We make it mean that maybe, just maybe, they finally discovered that I've been an imposter this whole time, that I've been putting on a facade of being happy, but I'm really sad, that I've been showing up courageously, but turns out I wasn't courageous at all. It was all a facade. And so I get that. And I'm sure you do too. And in that moment, I think one of the tools that I've learned throughout the past couple of years that I've been doing personal development over half a decade now. Wow, feels good. But like,
To say that,
and
right?
so
Mhm.
yes, Yes,
And
but this
congratulations, and
past
you've done great,
yes,
girl.
yes. And the thing is, one of the tools I've learned don't is embrace it right now. And I'm not saying change it, but acknowledge that this is where I am.
I am. Mm-hmm.
Acknowledge that this is how I feel. Obviously, 5 years ago, I didn't have the words for it, I didn't have the language for it. So at the time, I didn't quite know how to put it. But right now, whenever I visit that space of rock bottom, right now I don't stay at rock bottom for 5 months. No, we don't do that anymore. We visit there occasionally and we rise back up. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, in that moment of heartbreak, you mentioned losing a friend, and I've been through that. I lost my best friend a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, and that really hurt. The person you think you're gonna do life with for the rest of your life, when they're just gone, the betrayal, the pain, the heartbreak, I've been
Mm-hmm.
through that. And I'm pretty sure everyone here has maybe been fired from a job or invested in something and lost everything they saved up. And pretty sure that what we can all relate to the feeling of of rejection. We can all relate to that feeling of I'm not good enough, or that feeling of I'm really scared and I don't know what to do. People say put one foot in front of the other, but I don't even know where my feet are at this point. I have no idea where to
Tell me
begin.
about
But exactly, exactly. But the first thing is to acknowledge that this is where I am and this is how I feel.
it. Mm-hmm.
You see, sometimes we try, especially for us badass women,
Yeah.
we
Mm-hmm.
often just think I have to have it all together. And if I feel
Together.
crappy, I'm not gonna acknowledge it. I'm just gonna dust myself up,
I
pick
ain't gonna
myself up and keep
cry.
going. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But there is power in tears. There is so much power in acknowledging that this is how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because we had a workshop this morning, my friend and I, we had a community workshop this morning where we were talking about our expectations in and within relationships. And one of the things that came up is sometimes we try to logic ourselves out of how we're feeling. So
Mm.
we try and think, okay, if I could recite all the affirmations in the world, that means that I'm just gonna, get through this. But then
Yes.
there's no fast forward button to how you feel. And so
Tell me
you
about it.
cannot fast forward the grief, you cannot fast forward the heartbreak, you cannot fast forward the pain. That's just part of the process. So when you talk about the courage to start again, step zero, ground zero is to acknowledge that this is how I feel.
Yeah.
And this
Mm-hmm.
is where I am. And if you're courageous enough, again, we shouldn't use the word courage to define courage, but like if you're up for it, perhaps maybe you can try with the stem sentence of saying, this is how I feel, dot, dot, dot.
Mm-hmm.
I feel really unhappy right now. I feel really heartbroken right now. I feel so lost right now. Say that. Say that to yourself. Acknowledge that. Start there. Because sometimes the reason why we stay stuck for so long is
Mm-hmm.
because we are not willing to acknowledge where we are. We often think about where we could be, where we should be. And so being in that space of saying, okay, in this moment right
And who
now,
we were, who we were,
exactly,
I was,
right, right,
and then you
yes,
find you nothing. And then you ask
exactly.
yourself, like, you know, who am I? Like you just said something that came up to, especially us, like a lot of strong women and men, especially in high position, especially people who are so much up there in public, like you and me, right? And a lot of just, even if it's a mother, a sister, you have lost, or this thing is not working for me, but then the ego and the comfort zone of being in that, it's so comfortable, you don't even know how to get out of it, in order to be able to just say, okay, all right, I messed it up, but I made that time it was the right decision. But right now it's not working for me. Right now I need to get out of this and be able, yes, I'll be looked at, I'll be laughed at, and my who I am is tied to this job, to this child, to this friendship, to this. So we are now enslaved by our own ego of what will people think. And then we even fail to acknowledge that we're in this place. So we just kind of put cement and makeup on it, all right? We just
Mm.
put makeup on it and you go out there like you fake it until you make it. Sometimes it works, but until you kind of just say, okay, truthfully, this is not working. How many of
Mm.
us first even sit down and say, I'm in a situation, you are dying inside. And until you
Mm.
acknowledge that, you won't have, you won't even
Mm.
know you need to start over later on, have
That's
the
so true.
courage to start over. Isn't that?
Mm.
Because you
That
there
is
has
so
to be a
true.
point of acknowledgement.
That is so true. And it's funny because you know how they talk, you made a joke about AA, which is so true because first thing in AA, you're told acknowledge you're an addict.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not comparing addiction to courage and I'm not trying to take it lightly,
Hmm.
but it's the same thing. The very first step is to acknowledge that something is not okay because you cannot fix what you don't know.
Hmm.
And not that you need fixing, but the place to start is to go within and say, okay, Phoebe, how does this feel?
Hmm.
Does this feel right? Is this serving me? Whether it's a friendship or a relationship
Say that
or
again.
a
That's the
job,
question. Is this saving me?
serve.
Is it
Yes.
saving who I was supposed to be? Is it
Mm,
saving me? Am I answering my call? Or am I now just living a people pleasing life
yeah.
so that you've, oh my goodness, I've lived it so many times, like you say, and then you find that you're just comfortable. And then you find out like you never showed up for yourself. You never showed up for yourself because we never stopped. Actually, I'm gonna, for everybody listening right now, sit down while you're listening and after the show, write down, what is that? Is this relationship saving me? Are these functions that I'm going to, and sometimes you know that you need to change when every time somebody asks you, especially as people pleasers, you're always yes, 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 yes. There's something you're actually not trying to face. And until you face that, there won't even be a starting again. Until you even acknowledge, damn, I feel bad.
That is so
I
true.
am I'm being treated badly. And then you don't even acknowledge your worthiness. Actually, we are so busy. If as mothers, we get even so busy in the kitchen, even cleaning, cooking a casserole dish you never even knew how to cook, all in masking it out and not in want to face the, is it worth it? What is making me be so, you don't face yourself. Your
Yeah.
self-worth is lost. You start giving your love to dishes. Nothing wrong with dishes and everything, cooking, but you're just trying to run away from this thing. But you know what I've come to learn? I think it's Brent Brown that says self-worth is not a prerequisite. May I
Mm,
just say that again?
please. Yes. Faster, please.
Self-worth is not a prerequisite. You are enough. So find the courage to say this ain't working, this thing, and we are in jobs. You look at a paycheck like, damn, how can I live this 150,000, 200,000 K, half a million, whatever. But you are so connected to that, but you are miserable and dying inside. Self-worth is not a prerequisite to your check, to that
Mm,
relationship, to that
mm,
friendship. Can we meet
mm,
for coffee? Yes, but in your heart, you're
mm,
like, oh God, can this coffee come and go?
mm,
You don't want even to be, but we just say yes. Oh, can you come to this function? Yes, because that's what we do. But no, we do that in order to just feel worth that. Nah, there ain't no prerequisite to self-worth
mm,
worthiness. You are enough the way you are. And where you are right now, in whatever situation, you can start now. And they gotta be some courage. What do you think about that, Phoebe?
no, I agree with you 1,000%. But more than that, it's what you said, that loving you, choosing you, showing up for you, that's a non-negotiable. Like, let's
Yes.
start there. You as you are, you're not worthy because you make $500,000 a year or a month, maybe. You're not worthy because people tell you you're worthy. You're not worth it and amazing because you got the degree or you got the accolades or you got the promotion. You are worth it just because you exist, just because you are.
There's
That in
no
a world of a
prerequisite.
billion, exactly, in a world of more than a billion people, here you are at
Mm-hmm.
this point in your life, at this, this day, this year, this time, this moment. You're here for a reason. Yes, a season, but a reason. So you're not worth it because you just, everybody at work likes you or no one at work likes you, but you are worth it just because you are, just because
Mm-hmm.
you're here.
Yes,
You're
just
worth
because you
it.
are.
Let's start there. Let's start there. And not parts of you, not the perfect parts of you, the parts of you that have never been left. No, all of who
Mm-hmm.
you are. All of who you are is enough. All of who you are is worth it. All of who you are is valuable, good enough, and every other thing you want to add on there. Then everything else is a bonus. Everything else is a bonus. When people compliment you, that's a bonus. When
Yes.
someone says, "Oh my gosh, you inspire me," that's a bonus. But the starting point,
And you know
you
what,
are enough
Phoebe?
and you're
There's something
valuable.
that you said earlier on when you started. Like courage is also just resting. Like I'm gonna rest.
Yep.
Because in this when you're actually very lost, you are very exhausted with the yes
Mhm.
that are supposed to be no's. So you find yourself so exhausted. And one thing I've come to if you're exhausted, you cannot start over.
Can't do
You
anything. Yeah.
need to rest. So
Yep.
just resting or sometimes unplugging or just saying no and no and no until you find that just a little bit of you is courage enough. Maybe that's just the beginning of it because you need to rest. When do we find time like I need to rest? But we're all going, we're so busy, we don't have time to rest. Hence, we've lost ourselves in the busyness of life.
You know, I love what you just said right there because when we talk about courage, we often tie courage with the goals and go after your dreams and say yes to your calling and change the world in a day and a half. Most of the time when people talk about courage, that's what comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Even I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you would agree
Oh,
with me as well.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That when we talk about courage, everyone just thinks, yeah, become an entrepreneur, sell everything and go travel the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we talk about. That's what we mostly think about. That's what we, yeah, mostly think about when we talk about courage. But then the courage to say, I'm gonna sleep in tonight today.
That's
I'm
courage.
not gonna check my phone for the whole day. I'm just gonna take care of me today. Especially if you have a tendency of putting yourself last. Especially like so many of us, I being one of them, I'm
Mm-hmm.
outing myself, y'all. If you have the tendency of taking care of everybody else to your own detriment, if you put other people before you, if you care about everyone else in your circle and in your family, before you ever cater for your needs, showing up and saying, "Hey, I love you guys, but today I gotta pour into me," that's courage. When someone invites you to dinner, but all the energy you have is just to shower and watch an old movie, saying no to that,
Provided you even have the
that's
courage to
yeah.
shower.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes water shower looks like it's just being there and losing yourself in your own head and just allowing the water to pour over you and to just be there. You see, one of the things I relate to courage is being present, literally being where your feet are.
Yeah.
Because most of the times our minds are like spinning 1,000 times, and we have so many thoughts. I gotta do this, I should have done, blah, 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 and all
Mm-hmm.
of these things, and all the $1 billion ideas that you wanna work on, and all of that. But to slow down and say, okay, right now, this is where I am, and I get to be here. And you see, when you're often present,
Mm-hmm.
then you realize you have so much to be grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize that, ah, there's an area of my life I haven't been showing up.
Yes.
Okay, what can I do better? Because you see, it's very easy to talk about starting again, fine, one, two, three.
See.
But that's a disservice because For example, let me give this very good example. My
Mm-hmm.
major has been aeronautical engineering. And one of the things we learn in aviation and aeronautical engineering, if a plane is taking off from Shanghai, China, and it's going to Indiana, where
Mm-hmm.
Monza lives, if the pilot just goes 1 degree off, he's gonna end up in a whole other place. I don't want to show
Mm-hmm.
you guys how my geography sucks, so I'm not gonna mention the place, but it's gonna probably end up somewhere like Dubai or something.
Yeah.
Just 1 degree off. Now, be for you to know where you're going. I want to go to Indiana. Fine. Where am I right now? Your GPS, if you're driving from here to there, you gotta find out where you are. In your GPS, you have to input the location of where you are and where
Oh.
you want to go. Most of us
Mm.
know where we want to go, but most of the time we have no idea where we are. We don't take the time to acknowledge that, okay, this
Mm.
is where I am.
Actually, that is my goodness. Even this, you have just put it so much that it has also actually hit a aha moment in my life. We want to go start over. From what are we?
Exactly.
Where are
Exactly.
we right now? Where are
Yes.
you right now? From what are you starting over? Have you taken an inventory in your life? And then also, just before, I want you to get back to the GPS. You were so much in the darkness, right? You don't even know you don't even know what light is like there. So you can't even say, okay, that starting over is not for me. But somebody that I know who I love so much, he said, darkness is not a permanent state, but the absence of light.
Yes.
Darkness is not a permanent state. But you have to know that you are in the dark, so that the light, when that light comes, you are appreciated. But how do you even start saying this is where I am before I even get to Indiana from China?
Mm. And again, one of the things that I think, if I were to go back to 5 years ago, I wouldn't change a thing in my story, I wouldn't change a thing in my
Mhm.
life. But one of the things I would do differently now with the knowledge and the information I have would be to spend more time alone. I mean, at the time I was living alone, but I didn't know what alone felt like. I thought alone meant lonely, so I was always watching Grey's Anatomy 24/7 when I wasn't working or doing schoolwork.
Mhm.
So being alone means just me and my thoughts and my heart and my soul. No music, no nothing, no talking, just being here. Because the thing is, when you're just right here with yourself, you can feel it in your soul. Like you know what? Instead of telling you about it, let's try it. Let's give ourselves 30 seconds. It's an invitation, really.
Mhm.
And let's just feel this. Just
Mm.
place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly, whichever hand, and just take a really deep belly breath. Breathe in and make sure your exhale is longer, and just be present. 30 seconds, I'm with you. We got this. Let's try this together.
Mm.
As long as you're still breathing, then you're still in the game. As long as
Oh
you're
my
still
God. You
breathing,
know,
yeah.
that simplicity, yet the practicality of it all. When do we stop to breathe? No, seriously, but nothing. When was the last? I know you're a man of God, so I'm sure you do a lot of that. But most of us, when do we take a time? It feels when I just was breathing, that's and quiet. I felt like I am. I don't have to put a
Mm,
title. I'm
mm,
Wansa,
mm,
Zahara's
mm.
mom or wife. At this moment when I'm just doing, I just am. I am she who is created by God. And for me, in that moment, that's enough. It's enough. It's enough, and it's enough to be here to breathe in deep and just like, because this thing, guys, it's real. It's not just a talk show. It's not just, oh, what are they? This is real, and with each other, with our practice, just that sense of like, I am worth it.
You are. You are.
I am more than enough.
Mm,
And I think it's from that position that you can start now getting to, is this saving me? Is one of my mentors the other day, she just told me, like, like I'm rushing. I'm like, I have to go and clean the dishes. I haven't washed. I'm like, Masa, you will find the dishes still there.
mm,
I'm giving you this time, and all you're thinking about is rushing to go and do the dishes. Is that your priority in life right now? I'm like, there'll be a time when you will miss those dirty dishes. Leave them alone. And this is a clean person, right? But so I'm like, oh, you give me, I don't have a problem leaving the dishes alone. But just even that act of just leave them alone. Take your time to yourself. You keep going, you keep going. Like she told me, like, oh, my kids are like, they won't starve. Let them find some food in the fridge. They won't starve. And just that staying by myself, you just see me fidgeting and trying to write an idea. Like, no, don't even write. Don't take any notes. Just be. It's the hardest thing to be. And like, why you've been going through so many cycles and not just nailing in into that thing that is not supposed. You are too busy. You can't even be every time like we're there sitting, your next thought is thinking, okay, so what should I do? Where should I go after this show? When is this show ending? Oh, so which one should I be preparing for? What summit am I preparing for? Without being present. And without being present to yourself, the danger is you get to be at your deathbed and then just realize you never showed up for yourself.
mm.
Especially to young ladies, mothers. Oh my God. I know it is our God given nature to love, but we cannot love from an empty place. What does Lisa say about giving from an empty soul? So what does she say? You remember what she says? Like you
How you
can give
can't pour from, yeah, you can't pour from an empty cup. You gotta pour from your
from an
overflow.
overflow.
Mm.
So if you're empty, you are giving from emptiness, and your gestures won't even go so far. You're
Yeah.
giving, right?
When you become resentful.
Oh,
Yeah.
very. You feel used,
Yes.
but
Yes.
just
And
because
then
you're
you
so
often
empty. Mm-hmm.
wait for other people to validate you because you're like, I'm giving my all, I'm showing up, and no one is telling me I'm good enough because you're not taking the time to just go within. And it's funny because if we would the topic is the courage to start again,
Yes.
but I feel like this is the very step zero before we even get to starting over. What are we starting over from?
From.
Where are we? Yes, what do we need in this moment? And most of the times we find that just by taking a deep belly breath, just really breathing and just being right here. And it's funny because most of the times that when I'm feeling ungrateful, when I'm feeling like I have so much to do and not enough time, and I'm pretty sure some of us or most of us can relate to that, when I come back to the present moment, I realize just how blessed I am, just how lucky I am, just how amazing things are turning out for me. And it's not a coincidence that the word present is also used to define a gift.
Gift.
That if
Mm-hmm.
someone gives you a gift, if I were to give this phone as a gift to Mwanza, it's also a present, that she
Yes.
got a present. And so In the present moment, you find so many presents that you would have otherwise missed just by rushing. I know there are moments to rush. I know there are moments you want to run and get to the next thing. But can we gift ourselves just 5 minutes a day out of 24 hours, just 5 minutes
Mm-hmm.
to just check in? First thing in the morning, when you get up, before you take your phone and
Phone.
check in on the world, just how am I doing today? How am I feeling in this moment? And how do I want to feel for the rest of the day?
You know what? We
And
don't even allow ourselves to hurt because we're not in the present moment. And we
mm,
sometimes think it's a weakness to be vulnerable or to hate or to kind of
yeah,
come up like that. It is a weakness, but it's not a weakness. And
it's not.
it is not a weakness. Especially we've been told, especially us from the African culture, we can't talk about certain things. And also just to forgive yourself. Is that not a good place to
Mm,
start from? Like, and especially the stepping back, Phoebe, before forget, like you and me and Dr. Kudai, we have these plans, right? We're gonna change the world. What you gonna do? But after we had put that foundation, we had to step back, also face. We have identified that which we're gonna do, right? What we supposed to do, but just the stepping back of finding the that individualism and this cohort that she heroes that we are right now. Don't you think it has really just the 1 year, it has allowed us to make our very own personal mistakes without very feeling suffocated by our saving the world and to do this and then coming back is this who I am now? When we're back, we're bringing in so much to the table, the maturity of it all, even in time
mm,
of uncertainty, the trust,
mm, mm.
knowing you can just like, hey, what's up, girl? This is what I'm feeling without wanting to kind of approve, right?
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. And just on that note, I think what I want to add on to that is the greatest gift you can ever gift yourself and the rest of the world is putting you first and taking care of you. And
Mm-hmm.
so, in that moment, when you take a step back, I think I heard this. I heard this from this guy. I forgot his name. His name just Jay Shetty. Yes, that
Oh,
guy, Jay
yes. Yeah,
Shetty.
yeah.
Yes, I heard this
Mm-hmm.
from Jay Shetty, and it was a really interesting way to put it when he said, "If you want to go 3 steps forward, you gotta go 3 steps deeper.
Ha.
If you want to
Mm.
take 1 step forward, you gotta go 1 step down, 1 step deep within yourself. You want to show up, and the best thing you can do is just say, okay, why can't I want to start again? I want to keep going. I want to go. But in order to go, you gotta go. If
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. If you want to just keep moving,
Good.
you also gotta keep moving down within
Down.
yourself and checking in with yourself. And if I were to summarize this in like 5 main steps, number one, check in with yourself. Really check in with yourself. Make it a non-negotiable. Make it something the same way. I like coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I like coffee. I like doing life with coffee. I cannot imagine my life without coffee. I love coffee. The same way that coffee is a non negotiable in my life, and I'm pretty sure there's something in your life that you absolutely cannot do without. Some of
Mm-hmm.
us are always walking around with water bottles because that's how much you like water. Same. Make checking in with yourself a non negotiable. This is something that I need every day. This is something I'm going to do it every day. And when you forget to check in with yourself, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Be gentle with your heart
With
and your soul. You're doing life for the very first time.
yeah.
So show up. And when you show up, check in on you before you can ever check in with the rest of the world, before you can even turn and say good morning to your spouse, before you can check in on your pets and walk your dog, say, hey, I'm here for you. How do you feel and what do you need today? And sometimes no words are necessary. Just take a deep belly breath. Breathe like you love yourself. Breathe like you're important to you because you are. Breathe like you're valuable because you are. Breathe like you're worthy because you are. Check in with yourself. Number two, acknowledge where you are.
Acknowledge.
Acknowledge where you are.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I am, and be really, really honest. For that, I often like to use the prompt, the truth is, and I'm only allowed to speak the truth in that statement. The truth
The
is,
truth
I feel
is.
really unhappy right now. The truth is, I feel like I'm not playing full out. The truth is, I feel very betrayed right now. The truth is, I wish I called my friends more. The truth is, you can journal about it for my journalers. You can do this in front of a mirror. You could do this while walking or while commuting to work.
Mm-hmm.
You could do this in your notes. The truth is, blah blah blah. The truth is,
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah. That's the second step, summarizing it for our audience today.
Yes.
So the first one is check in with yourself. The second one is acknowledge where you are. Now the third thing, once you acknowledge where you are, celebrate yourself for how far you've come. Self-celebration is the best thing you will ever do, because if someone gives you a high five, you feel like, I
Mm,
like that.
I like
Now,
that.
when you do that for you, it's literally like saying, hey, buddy, I got your back. I got your back. I'm proud of you. So the third one is self-celebration. Celebrate you each and every day because you're worth it.
Yeah.
Celebrate yourself again and again and again because you're worth it. Now, once you're done, and I don't want to say once you're done celebrating yourself, because it doesn't, you never finish celebrating yourself because every day there is so much to
Every day.
celebrate. Yeah. The fourth one is forgive yourself for what got you where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime that someone made you feel uncomfortable, but you stayed longer than you needed to, forgive yourself for that. Anytime that you were lonely, but you didn't have the courage to reach out to your friend, forgive yourself for that. Anytime that, you saw so many red flags in someone or in a job and you painted them green because you didn't want to go through the heartbreak again, forgive yourself for that. Forgive yourself for looking outside of yourself for validation
Mm-hmm.
and for affirmation, for other people, for negotiating your worth with the rest of the world. Number four is self forgiveness. And finally, make a new commitment to yourself.
Make a new yes.
Make a new commitment to yourself. I commit to you that I'm going to show up every day. And sometimes that's all you can do. Just show up. Just showing up and dragging yourself through the day. You see, I like how Lisa says that some days you will run to your dream. Heck, some days you will fly to your dream. But some
Mm,
days you will crawl to your dream. And some
yes.
days the best thing you can do is just crawl. Some days the best you can do is just cry yourself to sleep. Again, make
Yes.
a commitment to just show up for you. Make a commitment to spend more time with you. The same way when we get into a new relationship, we want to go on dates, we want to be on the phone for 10 hours. How about we showed up for ourselves in that same way?
Way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, those five things, that is how you start all over again. Because in life, if you're brave, you will fail. And when you fail, you're going to need to start again. And in order to start again, you're going to have to choose courage to start again. You're going to have to hold fear in one hand and passion and faith
And
and courage in the other. And then jump and jump and jump and jump again.
wow. Well, family, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard. And like I said, this is gonna be a long series. And girl, I know with you, so whenever you want, we're gonna continue on this because I think before January 1st hits, we need to reset now. By the time January 1st is coming, we have already started. But I think
Yes.
we laid a very good foundation. I want to
Yes.
thank you, everybody. And please, to all our viewers and our friends, be sure to subscribe to our channel, and please hit the like and also hit the bell so that you do not miss anything on Zambia Blog Talk Radio. To our Pastor Nathan Inkama, I want to thank you for all you do for us and just allowing us to take our message to the world. And girl, you rock, and you know what we're about to do. I thank you all. We love you, and God bless you. And please love yourself. You hate those 5 things, and this is going to be a practical thing, not just speak your truth. We've got practical. Phoebe gave you those practical things. Let's try them in the next week, and then feel free to hit me up. I'll also on a personal something, I'll give you extra things if you need me to help with some extra thing. And if there's anything you want to ask Phoebe, let me know. I'll ask her. Thank you so much. God bless you and have a very beautiful Saturday. Girl, you go to sleep. I know you're tired.
Thank you
I
so
love you
much.
to the moon and back.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Bye. Thank you,
Thank you.
Pastor. Come up. Bye bye.
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.